Yes.
What do you see down there below you?
I see a large piece of land.
Tell me about this piece of land.
It's a continent. It has majestic mountains.
Yes. And from which perspective are you viewing them?
I'm viewing them from the cloud as I move down towards the shore.
Yes. Very good. What do you notice as you do so?
There is a ship without sails, with figures disembarking.
Mm.
One of them is very large.
What does that being look like?
It's a blue being, blue skin, must be about 9 feet tall.
What does the being's face look like?
Serious. Looks slightly elongated head.
Yes.
Strange garments. Seems almost like a royalty of sorts.
Describe these garments.
Blue with beads and gold linings. Various red beads.
What do you think the purpose of those beads are?
Jewelry. Status. We 12 of us are accompanying as being.
So you're part of his party, or its party.
He's our father.
What do you look like? Look down at yourself.
I am a smaller version of this being, but I am not blue.
What color are you?
Pale with red hair. Paler than I am now. The others look different.
Does everyone look different? Each one?
Oh, I seem to have unique characteristics. Some have darker skins. Some have redder skins.
And how is it that this big blue being is your father?
His name is Thalos. We arrived from the Middle East to escape the dominating Aysier. We are also Aysier.
Sorry, go ahead.
Arrived here long ago. Our planet was no longer inhabitable. We are colonizing this place. This continent is Proto-Atlantis.
What does Proto-Atlantis mean?
It's before anything ever existed on it except natural fauna and flora. It's a continent chosen by our father to create a new civilization.
Which planet is this that you're creating the new civilization on?
We are here on Earth. We are standing on Atlantis, but there's nothing there. There's no buildings. There's no architecture. This is very, reminds me of what the cavemen would have encountered.
Yes. And you're saying you had to leave the Middle East?
Yes, we were born in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
We were taken here by our father.
Was your father also born in the Middle East?
No.
Where is he from?
No, he arrived from a planet that is no longer inhabitable.
And you said you had to leave the Middle East. What happened there?
War.
Mm-hmm.
Just too much war. The arriving Aysier immediately started dominating the landscapes. They simply continued where they left off on the planet that they came from. Various factions at war with each other.
But you're saying you're Aysier as well?
Yes, but I'm a child.
Mm-hmm.
I've not had a lot of life experience on this world. Still a young Aysier.
And how was it that you were taken away then from the Middle East? What did that process look like?
We were chosen, a representative from each of the 12 houses of Aysier. Royal families that arrived there from Maldek. We evacuated Maldek to colonize this planet. The original idea was to dominate the solar system.
What do you mean dominate?
To completely make use of its minerals, to harvest it, to completely take control.
To which end would that be? Or which purpose would that serve?
It's our intention. It's the reason why we ended up on Maldek. We are not originally from this solar system, but rather from Orion.
And as I understand it, Maldek then destructed. Was that by your own hands, or what happened then?
We were part of the faction that was warned to escape. They were factions on Maldek, scientists playing with what they shouldn't be playing with. They were trying to create some sort of hydrogen technology that backfired. But there was warning. Many escaped. We came here to Earth. We settled in the Middle East.
Why the Middle East specifically?
There are ley lines, song lines. The Middle East is more or less the center of the landmass of this world. From there we could settle certain temples in order to initiate ourselves so that we can connect with our elders, our ancestors.
And these temples facilitated that?
Very much so.
How does that work?
the energy grids of this planet intersect at certain places. They are not grids that are in a permanent position. They move around slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Through these energy grids, there are certain portals that can be accessed using temples. And only the initiated would be able to gain access to guides, higher beings, ancestors that are not embodied. But you cannot access them without technology using crystals in certain geometric forms.
Mm-hmm. What do you mean only the initiated would be able to access those portals? What does that mean, initiated?
Initiated means that a being embodied is able to remove or separate their consciousness from their body to explore the other side and bring back information useful.
Disassociate from the body.
Yes, but I needed technology in order to do this.
And you're saying it's crystals?
It's a specific piece of technology that was brought along from the Middle East. It holds certain crystals in geometric form, which raises the frequency of the local environment, enabling higher frequency beings to be present. Without this piece of technology, it's not possible.
What does that technology look like? Is it a physical object?
Yes, it's represented on many temples across the world as a handbag. On the famous Pillar 43 at Göbekli Tepe, there are more of these handbags. I can only assume the same thing happened at Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah, I know in Egypt there's also many of those handbags on the friezes against the walls.
Egypt is different. Egypt, or Kemet, was only built long after we arrived on this island.
Okay.
Many thousands of years has passed to perfect these technologies to build the Great Pyramid.
Okay.
Which was more than just an initiation temple. It was also to balance the geomagnetic sphere around this planet. We arrived on this island, and the first thing we did after building shelter is to create a temple of initiation.
What does that look like?
It looks very similar to what Göbekli Tepe would look like. There are limestone pillars sit around in a small circle, which encloses another smaller circle. It would be very similar to Adam's calendar, the same primitive technology.
Like a circle within a circle.
Yes.
Why is that shape so important?
It's right on the cross intersection of a ley line. It creates a portal. A portal which allows you to quantum jump realities.
But you need that technology, that handbag looking thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was just to raise the frequency to allow higher consciousnesses.
And does that technology exactly look like a handbag, physically? Or is it just represented as such on the...
No, it's just called handbag by the humans who discovered it on all the temples.
Yeah.
It's the closest word I can use to trying to describe what it looks like. It's more of a circular structure with a handle and a lid. And within the lid there are crystals of various types, some that are not even from this planet.
Yes.
That are held in a specific geometric form. It changes from triangle to rectangle to... It forms the plutonic solids. It symbolizes the elements. And it creates this portal on this ley line.
And then one can commune with, I suppose, multidimensional beings.
Yes, you can traverse the other side. You can go to places. It's the same initiation process that's been used for thousands of years, even right down to very recent events like the Knights Templar.
Okay. And it's not working, or it's not working today. Is it not in use today?
The initiation ceremonies are similar, but they are underground.
And is that handbag-looking technology, is that still around?
And those technologies are no longer necessary.
How so?
We've evolved to no longer need these technologies.
Yes.
We were also forced to no longer use these technologies as they were all lost during the floods.
And you're saying we, as in the Aysier, are still around today?
Yes, very much, yeah. They have been here before human beings.
And do they just look like normal human beings?
They do today. They did not in the past.
How did they change?
It's important to create context before answering.
Okay. So where would you like to go first?
The Aysier were a parallel civilization to other civilizations here on Earth, much more primitive. Never many thousands of years went by before any interaction happened between these two races. Towards the end of the Atlantis era, the Aysier population or civilization was waning. And the numbers were dwindling due to too many wars. So what the Aysier did was to try and find ways of trying to keep their bloodline alive. They had to find ways of procreating, because procreating with each other has become difficult.
What do you mean difficult?
Many of us have rejected feminine energy. As years went by, we simply rejected all things feminine. We were on course to repeat the same timeline as Mars. But some of us recognize that we are about to repeat the same mistake. So we interacted with the primitive civilization on Earth, and we were warned not to.
By primitive, you mean the human being?
What would be considered human being back then, yes.
Okay. You were warned not to. By who?
By the other blue ones. The blue ones who were here long before us.
And they're not the same as you, right?
No.
Okay. And why did they warn you?
They are Venusians, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians.
Okay. Why did they warn you against that?
His mitochondrial DNA does not match. We created monsters.
What do you mean monsters?
I suppose this is what the biblical scriptures call Nephilim.
What does that look like?
It's a giant being, bigger than Aysier. Great proportions. Some of them had red hair, 6 digits, many rows of teeth.
What was the temperament of this being?
Highly volatile.
Okay.
Highly volatile. These beings started devouring everything. They were extremely destructive. And they started just consuming everything.
Was there any way of stopping them?
There was no way of stopping them. They procreated too fast. They created more beings of lesser stature, but equally destructive. They created all kinds of beings, some that aren't even human. This had great spiritual implications. The guardians of this realm had no choice but to induce floods. There was more than one flood.
So is that what we hear about the Great Flood in the biblical times? Is it would be a similar concept?
It's the last flood is the sinking of the last segment of Atlantis. Okay. There were many more and even a few in between the last sinking of the last island of Atlantis and the biblical flood.
Yes. And that was to get rid of those beings.
Yes. The last biblical flood coincides with the time that humans started taking over the world. Before the sinking of Atlantis and up until the last flood, the world was run by demigods. It was the only way that Aysier could mate with human beings is to create hybrids. We created human hybrids and then we mated with the hybrids to create the demigods. This will be the stories of mythology.
And this is separate from those other Nephilim that were created, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When the first wave of Nephilim drowned in the flood, they and their creators were sent to the underworld. The first beings, Nephilim giants, were confined in a prison.
Is this on Earth?
This is all on Earth.
Whereabouts?
The prison is deep within the bowels of our planet. In the underworld. The underworld is a very real place.
In the center of the Earth?
In the crust of our planet. It is inhabited by the Aysier today.
Yes. So that's just under the surface of the Earth.
Yes, the surface of our Earth is very layered. The first place Aysier inhabited was the mountains between the Caspian and the Black Sea, North Anatolia. That is where they first settled when they came here. It has not yet been discovered even until today.
Yes.
A vast, cavernous kingdom in the mountain where everything started.
And you're saying that the Aysier are still living on the planet today, but just in the crust?
They were forced to go underground about 5,000 years ago when humanity started ruling the world.
Mm-hmm. Why were they forced to go underground?
It was simply their time.
And what do these beings that live underground now look like?
It's not necessarily as material as we would know it today. It's an etheric place.
So it's kind of on a higher dimension, not necessarily physical.
Correct.
Okay.
5,000 years ago, the Aysier started migrations from the Black Sea area. To the east of the Caspian Sea, some of them moved and started the Proto-Scythian culture.
Which country is that today?
That would be Ukraine, Russia, and east of that, Kazakhstan. From there, this specific group moved northwest towards Scandinavia over many thousands of years. Not many, maybe 2 or 3, but they arrived in Scandinavia and started the Viking culture. At the same time, another group migrated from the Black Sea. They moved southwest ended up on the Sardinian island before eventually ending up in South America.
Why was that migration necessary?
To make way, to give room to the humans to know, to start ruling or to give the landscape back to humans. We, the Aysier, eventually went underground. Our civilization now lives on in humanity. Humanity now hosts Aysier souls amongst many other souls all across our galaxy.
So you're saying certain humans have Aysier souls?
I'm still Aysier, even though I have a human vessel.
And how would someone know that they have an Aysier connection?
Astrology. People will have to find the answers in the stars.
So like this vessel, what is his astrology that's special, different, or unique to Aysier?
His plutonium, his 8th house is backed, just like someone like Edgar Casey or Aleister Crowley or both those beings are ancient Atlanteans, both of Annunaki royalty.
Yes.
If you have a packed 8th house, you are likely Aysier.
Well, I have cards designed by Aleister Crowley, and I feel like he's haunting me every night.
Very interesting being.
Well, he designed the Thoth tarot deck, which I think is such a perfect tarot deck.
Crowley was instrumental in World War II, as well as the other Aysier on the side of the Third Reich. Black magic was used in that war.
How so?
The Third Reich did not use sonar to detect enemy U-boats. They used pendulums on maps.
Wow, did they use psychics for that?
Very much so.
People like Crowley.
Crowley was on the side of the British. When Churchill discovered that Himmler had an entire esoteric army branch dedicated to witchcraft and other methods, unorthodox methods, Churchill had no other option but to get Crowley involved, to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, well, Crowley was kind of a magician, wasn't he?
He was initiated in one of the temples, just like we all were back in the old times.
Okay. And why is it so important that this information comes through about the Aysier today? Why is that important?
I believe being shown this memory to rectify some misinformation about the Aysier.
But is there any information about the Aysier at the moment?
There is plenty.
What are they called? Also Aysier or something else?
You can find information about the Aysier in the Sumerian mythology on cuneiform tablets.
Okay.
That are still being translated to this day, hundreds of thousands of tablets. The full story of the Aysier is not known because it has not all been translated. The only section that has been translated is House Anu, the father of the specific Annunaki that arrived in the Middle East. The The house that gets all the bad rep.
What house is that?
The house of Anu.
Okay. And what is the connection between the Aysier and the Anu or the Annunaki?
They are this one and the same. They are the Sumerian pantheon in mythology, are the Anunnaki.
And what misinformation would you like to clarify today?
Just that the house of Anu do get many. They get a bad reputation because the mistakes that they made are very highlighted concerning the whole Nephilim saga. They were not fallen angels. They were just simply high consciousness beings in service of self, trying to survive after their civilization was on the wane. Yes, they made mistakes. Yes, many of them were not good, but many of them took us, human beings, as children. And there were many other places where they were on Earth. The Anatolian Mountains were just one. They inhabited many places that acted like islands, or were islands, to stay separated from humanity for as far as they can, for as long as they can. But it wouldn't last. The Aysier would eventually have influence across the entire globe. Eventually, the families of Atlantis got corrupted. And things led to where they are now. We are still on this karmic wheel.
Tell me about the karmic wheel. It does seem like human beings are on this wheel and seem to not be able to get off.
It's the wound of Atlantis that is still haunting us. And it's not a wound that started here. It is a wound that started in Orion.
Tell me about that.
Orion is not a part of history I really know much about. My first incarnation on this planet is as Aysier in the Middle East alongside Thoth and the others. Thoth is biologically my brother, but he is not from this universe. He is not. He is cut from a different cloth. He is far superior. He taught us everything about initiation processes, about temples, about the way we think, about architecture, about religion.
Okay. And you're saying you don't have much knowledge then of the Orions?
Oh, there seems to be an Akashic wipe concerning the Orion memories. Memories.
For yourself?
Yes.
Why is that?
There's even a Akashic memory wipe of the Maldek. I've got no access to those memories.
Okay. Well, maybe it's not necessary to look at that. What do you have memory of? You're saying this kind of island that you come across, right? This is the Proto-Atlantis.
This is Atlantis.
Tell me about that.
We divided this island into 12. For one of each of our families. We then took DNA from various parts of what was then a Homo species. And then we created various races of humans on Atlantis and governed them, educated them.
But these were not those kind of malformed ones, right?
No. They did not last.
Okay. But then you created new kinds of humans on Atlantis, and you taught them things.
Hybrids.
Yes. Why did you need to do that?
Hybrids, so the Aysier could procreate with them.
Okay. Yes, tell me more.
It's not possible to procreate with a human being if you are 15 foot long.
Okay.
You need hybrids.
Okay.
Smaller beings that will not reject mitochondrial DNA.
Okay. And then you created these new beings. What happened then?
Yes, we lived peacefully for a long time. We lived through 2 golden ages.
Mm.
And then after the 3rd is when we devolved to where we are now.
After the 3rd what? Sorry?
Golden age.
Golden age. So you've devolved to where you are now.
There were 3 separate cycles, similar cycles. Each planetary evolution goes through a 3rd density evolution, lasts a very short time. 2nd density Earth lasted for many millions of years.
What does that look like? 2D.
It's etheric. It's not. There's no matter. It's all etheric.
Okay.
There's no body for a soul to be in. You are just a collective. 3rd density Earth is really when you start the process of individuating collective consciousness.
Okay.
That process is only 75,000 years, more or less, or about as long as 3 golden ages.
Okay.
Currently, we're at the end of the 3rd cycle.
Okay.
The beginning. We are moving up towards the 3rd, the golden age.
Yes. But you were talking about that wheel of karma, right?
This wheel is a wheel of karma that follows us from Maldek, because it is a group of beings, a collective of beings that's been following each other around since Orion. That arrived on Maldek and Mars, eventually destroying both planets, one very physically, the other just inevitable. Not learning the lesson we were supposed to learn.
Which I suppose was unity consciousness, right?
Yes.
Not want more separation consciousness. But it feels like this planet is kind of heading in the same direction. It's almost a choice needs to be made between unity or separation consciousness.
This is why history is repeating itself over and over and over.
But I mean, what will humans choose this time around?
Well, we find ourselves at the end of a 3rd cycle, which means it's the end of 3rd density consciousness. The choice we have to make is, do we continue this cycle where we are? Do we stay here in a 3rd density world where we learn our very harsh lessons over and over and over? Or do we ultimately choose unity, consciousness, and choose the higher path? That is fortunately for us the choice we have. We can choose as an individual.
Yes, because it does feel like Source is pushing for unity consciousness so that all the fragments and parts can go back to Source, right? Instead of free willingly kind of going on their own way.
Very much so, but half of us will not make the choice.
Oh, we can see that every day. I can see that on the street every day.
Exactly. There are many young souls here, eager to still learn the many lessons that I suppose old souls like myself have learned.
And are still learning.
And still learning. It is not a compliment to be called an old soul.
I know. It's just a soul who's had to come back many times because they haven't learned their lesson.
Yes.
Okay.
Or a soul that comes back to try help others learn their lesson.
Yes, okay. Again, any other information about Atlantis, this place, this architecture you were talking about?
In the beginning, it was very basic. There was no technology. It was slightly altering a thing here or there, or maybe creating a temple out of a mountain, or using negative architectural methods by removing rather than adding. Yes, we were very good at this. Very good at emptying mountains and creating cities. There's a famous one in Turkey called Derinkuyu.
Is that still going today?
It has been found and discovered, but it has not been explained. Nobody knows how old it is.
Okay. So you're saying, is that also where the mountain was somehow hollowed?
That is a underground city.
Okay, yes. I've actually been there.
That is an example of what can be done with certain technologies.
But I suppose that's quite invasive. It takes away from the planet.
That's why there were so many floods. It's not exactly why. Or something Gaia agreed upon. Gaia has gotten rid of many invasive extraterrestrial species before. She's very protective.
Yes. Well, I mean, even in architecture, we build upon the earth. We try not to excavate it because it just does a lot of damage.
Yes.
Okay.
For the first many thousand years, we were hunter-gatherers, but spiritually advanced because we were initiated. We were jumping between realms, quantum jumping.
Yeah. Okay, but in Atlantis, is there anything you'd like to say about Atlantis? Anything else of interest?
Atlantis grew in technology and architecture as more people got initiated and more people started bringing back information from the other side. We didn't arrive on Atlantis with knowledge of knowing how to build pyramids. We had to figure out how via our initiatory travels.
Yes, okay. So then what did you learn about pyramids on your travel?
Pyramids very much represent or resemble aspects of nature.
How so?
The Giza pyramid, the big one, is nine-sided. It is more of a masculine pyramid. It represents aspects of our planet, the Earth. It has light codes that hold information about our planet. Even the dimensions are very exact.
Yeah, what do you mean it's nine-sided?
The Giza pyramid has 9 sides.
Does it not have 4?
No.
Where are the others?
The 4 sides of the Giza pyramid are actually 2 sides inverted at a very small angle.
Okay.
That meet in the middle. The 9th side is the base.
The bottom, okay. And what is the, as I understand it, there's a spiral. It forms a spiral inside the pyramid, right? Which creates a kind of vortex or charging chamber almost.
It's a portal. It's also another temple of initiation. You can enter this pyramid, be part of a ceremony. The priests use frequency, audio to activate this portal.
Yeah. But as I understand it, it's deactivated today.
It is.
How did that happen?
The portal still exists.
How did the deactivation process work out?
About 5,500 years ago in linear time, there was a pyramid war, which is basically described in Vedic text, which you'll find in the Mahabharata. The war they talk of in the Mahabharata is the same war that destroyed the pyramids. This was very shortly before humanity was to be given the reins. They were destroyed deliberately.
Why is that?
So that the humans do not make the same mistake we did on Atlantis.
Okay. What was that?
By being too confident in our initiation processes and traversing the other realms, collecting information we shouldn't have. Not every being in the other realms are benevolent.
Okay, so there was some misinformation or malevolent information given or what?
Yes. Yes. It's how we became corrupted and started servicing ourselves. Our egos started taking over, and we lost our divine aspects of ourselves. Literally subduing our higher selves and elevating the egos to an unnatural level.
Yeah, so that kind of separation consciousness was then amplified.
Very much so.
Okay.
So much so that we no longer wanted any divine help. We rejected help from the angels. We rejected feminine energy. We rejected everything. the ego was king.
And then that created the downfall.
Yes.
Okay.
Until we realized we were busy dying, a dying civilization, in a desperate attempt to try jumpstart our evolution. We created the Nephilim. A great mistake, of which we will still pay the price.
How will you pay the price?
At the end of this cycle, there will be Judgment Day.
But you're saying you were banished to the underworld, or the creators of the Nephilim were banished to the underworld, right?
Yes.
So how is there Judgment Day if that is already seems to be the fate?
Some of us rehabilitated to an extent where we became management of the underworld.
Okay.
We needed some sort of management to be able to perform spiritual surgery on, for example, Nephilim. Because if you incarnate on this realm, you become part of you're a soul fragment of this planet. You are part of its soul. But if you are foreign, you bring a foreign soul fragment with you.
Mm-hmm.
That fragment stays with you until it eventually fades away after a certain amount of incarnations. Or unless it is surgically removed.
So is that what spiritual surgery is? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, we needed to remove the unholy part of the human soul that was the Nephilim.
Okay.
There was still a small part of humanity in that Nephilim.
Why was it necessary to remove that?
It's part of us.
Okay.
It's part of us. It's us. It's our soul. We cannot leave a wounded soldier behind.
So when you did that, what happened?
We managed to isolate the unholy part in Tartarus and reintroduce the spiritual fragment that was part of the human into evolution by introducing it to second density life forms like a Sasquatch or any of the lower Homo life forms like Homo naledi or Neanderthal or so forth and so on.
So you're saying those were incarnate, or you used those to incarnate then back onto Earth?
The human side,
Okay.
The human piece that got surgically removed from the grotesque spiritual thing that was a Nephilim, we managed to remove. Because that is part of us as a human soul. We are one. This planet is one collective soul. It's just in the process of regaining the collective consciousness.
But that was all done from the underworld.
No. The underworld simply guides souls to where they need to be. The unholy souls are separated from the human ones and isolated. Many souls, all of us, have certain journeys we go through, certain levels of consciousness we reach after each incarnation. All the underworld does is sift and sort the levels of souls into certain files so that they can be reintroduced to the next evolutionary stage of their journey. It's like having various grades in a school. If you can use the analogy of going through grade 1 as one incarnation. After grade 1, your vessel expires. Before you gain a second vessel, you need to be gauged at what level your consciousness is before you can evolve to the next level of consciousness, because each level of consciousness goes through a unique series of trials, tests, in order to establish whether it's ready to evolve to the next level or not.
Okay, anything else about this Atlantis creation, the fall of it, and then also, the rebuilding of the pyramids, or the building of the pyramids around after that time?
The pyramids were first built on Atlantis. They were built at the center of each what one could call the city of the island, their main city, what one would call the headquarters of, let's say, the specific province of the island. They were all circular cities. They had 3 rings, all of them. Just like the last one that is remembered in the collective consciousness, which was also ringed, 3 rings. The middle was for the royals. The second ring was for the hybrids. And the outer ring was for the slaves.
These are concentric circles where the buildings were built in those circles?
Correct.
Okay.
Pyramids were built in the center, where the royals were, the priest caste. They all had a caste system. It was the warrior, priests, and farmers. And then subsections of each, but mainly those 3. You were all initiated in the center ring, the middle ring. Various pyramids for various reasons. Some representing different aspects of nature, usually elements. The Atlanteans were very interested in elements. They were interested in mastering them, using them for all sorts of things, including war.
So you're saying the pyramids represented different elements, as in different pyramids?
Yes, each pyramid represents a different aspect of something. It doesn't necessarily need to be a planet. It can be example, fire, water, earth, air were the very basic pyramids, but they were more complicated ones. It also represented various vessels that we can incarnate in. There's a pyramid for Aysier. There's a pyramid for hybrid Aysier. There's a pyramid for human.
Were the humans the slaves?
Depending on which part of the island you were. But you could have hybrids become slaves as well.
But the Aysier couldn't become slaves.
Depending on their crimes, they could.
Okay. Okay, and why is it important for this vessel for today to hear this information? Seems like he was quite involved there, right?
Very much so. It's important for him to hear this because there's great guilt and shame about the Nephilim.
Was he part of the creation of them?
Yes.
What would you like to tell him about that?
That there are no mistakes. There are only happy accidents.
What does a happy accident mean?
It means the end result of a mistake can have a positive meaning.
What was the positive of that happening?
The realization of just how important human beings are. Just how much effort and how much energy has been put into the human experiment,
Yes.
which started long before Aysier arrived here. The Aysier were the accident that would complete the human experiment.
How so?
We human beings are the result of input from civilizations from all over this galaxy.
Yes.
There are 33 blood types in humanity.
But as I understand... Sorry, go ahead.
Before Atlantis, there were very few. There were only a few of the civilizations in the galaxy could enjoy a human experience. But now we can all enjoy a human experience.
How so? Enjoy is a very strong word as well, though.
Depends from what point of view you look at it.
Okay. And why can more have this experience now?
Because the human vessel is now evolved to where it can accommodate many blood types, which means many more consciousness from across the galaxy can incarnate here.
In a human being.
That is what a human being is.
How have we evolved?
Highest evolved physical vessel to house a consciousness from a galaxy. We will evolve even further to eventually carry on and become the norm in this galaxy. We are the proxy of this galaxy.
What does that mean?
Many civilizations in this galaxy needs a physical vessel that is compatible with their soul. We've been so tampered with. We've been so crossbred with so many different species and then tampered with some more by Aysier to create what is now the perfect vessel, or as close to the perfect vessel as you could get. We, as we are in the Kali Yuga, are not perfect, but we come from a perfect place. In the last golden age, we were known as Adamo. I suppose a hybrid. I suppose that would be the closest we would be to perfect vessel.
But as I understand it, the human being was created to end the war of all wars because we have the highest, DNA and the lowest DNA, different beings, and
Yes.
which is united within the heart, and then we choose. It's about kind of choosing what do we choose, the unity or the separation consciousness of the different DNAs in our body, and then that, whatever that choice is, would be the one who wins.
The human being was created to give birth to God. God being source consciousness. It's a full circle. We have been separated etherically to devolve back down into a third density form, which is the form you need to be in to be the closest to source.
The third dimension.
Yes.
How are we closer to source in this form?
It's much closer to creation than you are in fourth density because you've already evolved past material form.
Okay, so we can physically create and birth, is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
In 3D.
We can play God in physical form.
Yes, we can.
Which is pretty much what the Atlanteans did wrong.
Okay, so is there anything else before we close off you'd like to say? Tell this vessel specifically, or any other information you'd like to bring across?
There is a message to fellow Aysier. The veil is thinning as the cycle closes. Some of us might regain old powers. In India they are called siddhis. It is magical gifts. Things like levitation. Some of us might feel like we are able to manipulate elements in terms of moving objects with mind power, and strange things might happen. These things happen because you are standing on a specific ley line. It's important not to get infatuated with these gifts. It's important not to have have your life center around these gifts. They are just old, dormant gifts, coming dormant or alive again, active, because of specific energy grids on this planet. You are just accessing old abilities that was once active on Atlantis.
Okay.
There's a very specific one in the Western Cape, near the Swartberg Pass. This one is especially dangerous. I know only of this one because of experience, but it is the message. Do not get infatuated by the cities.
By the what?
The cities.
Cities.
City.
What city?
It's a city. A city is what one calls a special ability.
Okay.
If you are able to levitate, you have a city.
Okay. But then you should steer clear of these kind of portals that are a little bit dangerous. For instance, the one in Swartberg.
Yes.
Okay.
If you suddenly become energized or feel your ego feels powerful, you're on top of a ley line. There's a lot of changes will be happening as we close this last cycle, which will be completely closed within our lifetime. We have not a lot of time left for the light workers to create more awareness. In a few decades, we would have either chosen to stay behind or we would have chosen to move on. The choice is here. It's for us to make.
Okay. It's our choice. And you're saying people will know they have Aysier influence if they look at this astrological chart, 8 houses, right? Any other way people know they have that influence? Past life, parallel lives?
There are physical attributes and there are blood types and so forth, but perhaps it's not worth mentioning them.
Okay.
There is a fear of just bringing more confusion.
Okay. Okay, anything else you'd like to tell people today?
It's time to take the pilgrimage inwards. No matter where you're from, what background you're from, whether you're religious, whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're an atheist, it's time to look inside.
Yes, focus inward. Focus on connection, unity consciousness.
Yes, but before that can happen, there still needs to be the issue with the shadow. We all have shadows. Before you can connect to anything, you need to integrate your shadow.
Always shadows before the dawn.
Very much so.
Okay, so people need to do the internal work as well.
There's no other easy way to do it.
To go into that pain, into those shadows, make friends with those shadows. The only way out.
It's the only way to get to a state of meditation where you can connect to your higher self, your guides, and to beings or consciousness of great importance. Know thyself.
Okay, are we complete today, or is there anything else for anyone else?
No, this is complete.